Pregame.com.
Welcome back to our Big 12 preview. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined with Tony George, our Big 12 expert. We're previewing the top teams in the Big 12. Team number 3, Oklahoma State. I mean, here's a team, again, offensively, they're ready. They're loaded for bear. They're bringing back 9 starters, bringing back a quarterback that, as you alluded to in an earlier video, a Heisman candidate. Question for Oklahoma State this year, though, they only bring back 5 on defense, and there's some potent offenses. Can the offense score enough to cover up this defense this year?
Well, as you said earlier, sometimes your best defense is your offense, and that's going to have to be the case with Oklahoma State this year, which is why I got them in 3rd spot in my rankings. That being said, this is a team last year. I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget. Averaged 570 yards a game, 44 points a game, and Brandon Weeden, their quarterback, led the Big 12 Conference in passing efficiency. And he's got his top target back in Blackman at wide receiver. Now, he suffered an injury in the Nebraska game last year when Nebraska went down there and beat him, but he recovered nicely in the season. Weeden and Blackman are in the top 6 or 7 guys for the Heisman Trophy candidacy this year. And they're some guys that can make some things happen. Defensively, they ranked 11th last year in the Big 12 in pass defense. That has to improve, and I'll tell you what, right now, you would think, okay, if they average 44 points a game again this year, they're going to have a 9 or 10 win season. And by the way, once again, here's another team. I'm giving everybody out there a free prop bet, over 8.5 wins on the season win totals, over and under. This is a team that's going to win 9 or 10 games. That being said, they're also a team that can get through their schedule. They've got a tough road schedule this year. But the bottom line is, this is also a team that kind of controls their own destiny because, as you mentioned in the first segment of this series, they got Big Brother coming to town. And that's not an easy, Stillwater is not an easy place to play. I've been down to 10 games down there in my lifetime. The field's right on top of you. The fans are right on top of you. It's Bedlam down there, and that's what they call it, the Bedlam Series. But I'll tell you what, right now, they lost their offensive coordinator last year. With this high-powered offense, pass efficiency, he's now coaching at West Virginia. So that being said, I don't like teams that lose offensive and defensive coordinators at any point, either one or the other. In Texas's case this year, it was both of them. Right. So Mac Brown could save his ass. But the bottom line is, this team here, I think Mike Gundy still makes most of the offensive calls, the head coach down there. Great player in his own right when he was there, throwing old Hartley Dykes back in the day. Remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
Remember, again, we're old-timers.
We're old-timers for sure.
But the bottom line is, I think if they can improve their pass defense from 11th, let's say they get middle of the road. Let's say they get, there's only 10 teams this year. Let's say they get 5th or 6th, and they continue that point production. This is going to be a very dangerous team, Marco.
This is. Mike Gundy is a coach. I got to admit, I'll go to YouTube and check the press conferences out because this guy can give some of the most entertaining press conferences. And when somebody asks him a question or calls out one of his players, it's classic. But my concern here, you hit the nail on the head about the defense. This defense really does bother me. Offensively, no problems. Last year, they only lost 2 games. The 2 games they lost were Nebraska and Oklahoma, and those 2 teams scored 47 and 51 points against them. Okay, that concerns me a lot.
Yep.
This schedule concerns me even more. It's an absolute murder schedule. When I went through the Big 12, schedule preparing for our videos today, they've got the worst of it. A lot of these teams caught the breaks of their big games are at home. They've got to play on the road at A&M, at Texas, at Missouri. Now, Texas and Missouri, Texas is in a rebound year, and I think Texas, they're down, but they're not going to be as bad as they were last year. Second year with Gilbert, they're going to be a little bit better. Missouri's the team, that's the question mark because they've got to, their quarterback went on to the NFL. Blaine Gabbert, that's got to be a team that we don't know how quickly they're going to come along. But they're not. I can't see this team going in and winning at A&M. That's going to be a tough. A&M is one of the toughest fields to go into. Period. And with that offense this year that A&M has, in this defense,
they're going to suffer a loss through the season. It's just if they can limit losing to Missouri and Texas A&M, in those two games, and maybe get into a game or scenario with Oklahoma at home at the end of the season where that win counts. You lose early, you win big games late. That's how you sneak into the BCS. Right. I definitely think this could be a team, if they can shore up, giving up those big plays and giving up 30, 40 points a game to high-octane offenses, which isn't a guarantee.
Right.
Which is why I got them ranked third. I think they're still better than Missouri. I think they're still better than Texas. But with the experience they have on offense, they're going to be in every ball game. They're going to cover spreads, especially early in the season. They're going to be laying double digits in big games. They're going to cover those spreads. But when they get against those teams and they start giving up big plays, and then they know that you're going to want to throw the ball, then they're going to drop back in too deep cover, and then you're going to have to hit everything underneath against good teams in order to move the chains, but they're not going to give you big chunks of yards either, and that's when Oklahoma State's get taken out of their game plan.
You said one thing about, experience and leadership and that. Brandon Whedon is quarterback. You want to talk about maturity? He's 27 years old.
Minor league ball player before he came back to school.
Right. 27 years. There's guys that are on their third or fourth year in the NFL and are not 27 yet. So that is something that, in the big games and the pressure in that, you've got a huge edge with him. If Oklahoma State's got the ball last and need to score to win a ball game, I'm going to feel comfortable with that offense and him to be able to do it.
Well, he's great under pressure.
So that's a big, big plus for them. And I would love nothing better to see that last game of the season, Oklahoma State, to have all of the marbles involved there, where at least in one side of it, it could be for both could be playing for like you said, the Big 12 championship. But even if Oklahoma State's not playing for the Big 12 championship, but they're playing to knock Oklahoma out of the national title game, just as you said, bedlam.
Hey, the over and under is going to be 85.
Right. So,
and by the way, take the over in that one.
So let's look at, we both project them as the third team in the Big 12 this year. We're going to wrap it up this one. We're going to come right back. We're going to look at a couple teams that have been perennial powerhouses the last few years, but this is going to be a little lean year for both of them. We're going to come right back next with Texas.